Our public hearing meeting to order. County managers, anyone signed up to speak?
We have no one.
Yeah. Everybody's read through the budget, I assume, and is happy with it. So, if there's no patrons wanting to speak, then is there a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. We are closed. We get a 4-minute break, y'all. Call our meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. First up on the items to accomplish today. Need a motion to approve our agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda, or is there a need for adjustments?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Moving on now to our approval of our work minutes and our regular meeting minutes from May 14th and 21st. Is there a motion to approve these, or is there an alteration that needs to happen?
I'll make a motion to approve the 14th and May 21st minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Moving on now to administrative reports. This week I have nothing to report. So, are there any other commissioner reports?
Just a recommendation or suggestion, Mr. Chair, and I mentioned it the other meeting or two ago, and that is if our high-tech equipment can work it out, I'd like to see us having a commissioner meeting in other parts of the county. Save you and I having to drive from Cashiers. That's a little selfish, but
I agree.
we've had them at the Boston Fire Department, Savannah Fire Department, and so it'd be something to consider in the future.
Next few meetings once the budget's passed.
That'd be a good idea.
Okay. Are there any other commissioner reports? If not, Mr. County Manager, do you have a report this evening?
Just wanted to bring you up to date with the June project dashboard and what kind of go down the list. So we have the aquatic center is still on task to be done by July 27th. And we did have a meeting with that today, construction meeting. Everything is still on task for that. The Center for Domestic Peace, some stuff has been done with that. Getting ready to do, I think, some paving to start before phase 2. So that'll be happening in July. The Cashiers Glenville Recreation Area, the project is approaching the bidding stage. Project is to begin bidding in June. We've collected all the necessary signatures from the Cashiers Valley Community Council for the required paperwork. Still waiting on the return for the stormwater permits. Webster Park project is scheduled to commence on June 17th, and all materials have been ordered and are currently awaiting shipment. So they also have ordered solar lighting for the trail and begin installing it once it comes in from shipment. Whittier Qualla Park project is nearing bidding stage. Expect to commence in June. The erosion control application has been filed, and it has been confirmed that the stormwater permit is not required. Dillsburg Complex project, we are 100% complete with that, and that is the animal shelter. So that'll be coming off the next month's project list. Department of Aging project, we are working with Chad and structural engineers looking at that. I do have a meeting with the original architect on the 14th. They are going to be here next Friday, and we're going to look at that and see if they can come up with a tweak as well to make it more cost effective. Canada Fire Department Chad and Odell are working on the scope of work. Hopefully we'll get that back end of July. That's the latest thing we can decide, how the board wants to proceed with that project. Mark Watson Park paving. Have been talking with Chad and some of our crew. We think it may be more extensive than we could probably take them all off and have them do the work, but staging it, with concrete versus pavement, going to be a little bit more in depth and take a little bit longer. And the cost escalation with staffing and with product, it's going to be probably about 50% more than anticipated. So it'll probably be around 300,000. So we're looking at paving again. So we're looking at 3 different contractors and trying to get some quotes back now. So hopefully we'll get that going by the end of June. So you'll see progress on that at the end of June. The Justice Center, we had programming meetings yesterday on an administration building. And once we have that in place, we bring it back for your consideration on that. And then looking at the justice renovations after that process has been completed. Drexel, did meet with Tiffany Henry to look at possibly doing the detailed study area of FEMA that they're getting ready to do. Possibly would help us in some maybe a stronger application to EDA or other funding sources to get that ball rolling. The Dillsboro River Park, and that is, like I say, that's still in development. Just wanted to keep that on there. The Greenway project, we are working to try to obtain properties to finish that project or get that project further on. And then do have a possible project with DOT. They're set to vote this month on possibly the last part of the Greenway going toward the rec park in Cullowhee. So, and that is all for my report today.
Mr. Chair. Mr. King, has there been any discussion, when we were talking about that Dillsboro Complex project and where the old dam site was, there was some material, and Ms. Henry gave us a flash drive of information on that. I'm guilty, I have not looked at that information yet, but has there been any discussion with Duke Energy about just revisiting that, or could there be?
There can be. I think that in that report, and Mike could speak more to this, but I think there was some debris left in the area which would have to be remediated before we can look at an extensive project, especially if we're looking at water activities and things like that. So it just depends on what what kind of utilization you are with the river, you want to do at the river. So it'll just have to go through in that process. But yeah, we can definitely reach out to Duke Energy to see if they have any studies they did after they took the dam out, after the dredging took place, to see if there's any debris. They may already have a study that was done, or maybe a survey that was done to look at it.
Just to add on to that, Mr. Breedlove, who's the director of the TDA, mentioned that was an area that would be a very positive place to start in projects, but nothing really could be done, from what I understood, until that debris is removed for safety. And this, I'll piggyback on this comment I was talking to Chairman Letson before the meeting. There seems to be a favorable response to the TDA Authority Board on possibly looking at increasing the occupancy tax to the county at 6% from 4%. I just like, and that would be a huge source of potential funding for capital projects like that.
Any other?
If on the Whittier Waller Park, what's the main holdup on that?
It's been, I think, trying to figure out the sewer. We had to go a different route when the initial concept was we were going to do one way, and I think it switched to a different way. And this is kind of before I came, but
Yeah.
right now they're just trying to figure out that, plus some stormwater issues.
Is there any way that we can speed that process up at all?
It is supposed to. We're still expecting to commence in June, so
Well, it's June. So hopefully
Yeah.
we'll get it rolling here, because that community's heard several different things in the past, and me representing that community, I
See it come to fruition.
want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for this is great what you put together. But do we have that up on our website yet, where the public can?
this is the website right here.
Oh, that's good. Oh, okay.
Good.
I see that now. That'll be good then. So we can refer people to go look at this.
Where dollars are going.
Yeah, because so many people want to know,
Yeah, they have questions about
when
it.
are we going to get started? When are we going to get started? And I always tell them, watch our meetings to get updates on on these things, So I'm hoping they're watching, and I'm hoping they'll go on our website and look at the updated plans and everything.
As, any other questions for Mr. King? Has anyone signed up for public comment tonight?
Nope.
Move on now to new business and, fireworks display requests and Mr. Tony Elders. What are you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glad you're here.
A little while I was wondering when I was going to be here again, so happy to be here, moving along and covering slowly but surely. But doctor's letting me do basically office duty only. Don't want me climbing any ladders or scaffolding right now, so but we're moving along. I think most of you have been through one of these before. The general statutes require county commissioners to approve all fireworks shows within the county, even if they're within a town limits or anything. We have to approve those. When I send these to Ms. Angie to put on the agenda, they've all completed their applications, paid their fees, provided the appropriate information. They have to provide, I believe it's $3 million worth of liability insurance, insures the property owner and the company, and then they all have to provide site plans and so forth. None of these are new sites for us. We do have one new display operator, but none of these are new sites for us. As you can see, the 4th of July falls on Thursday, so we will have fireworks in Jackson County for 3 different nights, total of 11 shows. I'm not aware of a county in the state that has as many shows as we do, as many permitted shows and legal shows, let me put it that way. I have some friends in Mecklenburg County, and they only do a couple in Charlotte. I mean, I'm sure they're huge, but they only do a couple. But obviously the clubs and cashers become quite a competitive thing for them to see who has the biggest show, I think. So we spend a lot of time on the mountain, Doug Painter and I, that weekend. So spend a lot of time up there for that. But that's just presented for your approval, and then we notify everybody tomorrow if you do approve. And the fire chiefs are all notified and copied on this as we go along. And we always take their input. And ultimately, the chief that shows up or his crew that shows up, if there's anything out of line that night, they can stop the show. You know, they always have that authority.
Mr. Elders, what's the fee for one of these shows?
Right now, it's been $300 per show, and it's approved. Unless you don't approve it in the budget, it's to go up to $350 next year. Back when Mr. Wooten was chairman, he set that up so that we actually do get paid. We don't get paid overtime, but we get paid straight time for working that weekend. So he just said to keep at the time, the plan of the fee was to keep that fee high enough to cover us working.
And does the tax, the sales from the fireworks tax, the 7%, does that come back to our county?
I don't think so. I don't think they're purchased in our county. They're delivered here. They generally come from down around Charlotte way. There's like a warehouse, but I can't speak exactly to that. But I know the fireworks are driven into the county, and one truck will generally drop off 4 or 5 shows. The truck with the hazmat certifications on it shows up that day.
I was under the impression that when you purchase something from Lowe's and it's delivered from South Carolina, we do get that tax.
That might be a question for maybe Darlene. I don't know. I've never.
If it's delivered to Jackson County, we would receive it.
Would not be the same for the fireworks?
It would be.
Yeah, I mean,
Because that'd be, you know, those are $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 fireworks. You can do the 7% on that, and that would end up paying, offsetting the fire departments here on site, and
I hadn't thought of it that way, but
extra revenue.
I'm sure it's that way. But they definitely all come from somewhere else. I know that. You know, like usually around Charlotte, there's warehouses, and most of these companies are from Charlotte, South Carolina even, and they have one truck deliver 2 or 3 of their shows on the same day.
Would this $350 cover the county's cost to staff one of these sites, et cetera, or inspect them?
It does mine and Doug Painter's. I don't, the 2 of us that do that generally covers that with some left over. I can't speak to the fire departments now that, you know, about that part.
Well, it might be something that the board looks at in the future. Raising $50 isn't.
I mean,
that kind of money, I think it could go.
If y'all haven't approved the budget yet, I'm fine if you raise it higher than that, or if you want to. I wouldn't care if you discourage it. I hate the 4th of July. So. And right now, there's only myself and Doug Painter that can do it. He was worried when I had my accident, I wouldn't be able to help him on July 4th. I think that's the only reason he was worried about it. So.
To Mr. King, during the interview process, this question was asked to all candidates that we interviewed, and that was, how could you increase revenue without raising taxes for the citizens?
Yep.
And he mentioned increasing fees, a variety of fees.
Yep.
And this would be one that would, I think, be acceptable.
For the size of these shows, we never get any pushback on the fee. I mean, I think the Chamber of Commerce up here is the one I have really direct knowledge on what it costs, because I work so closely with Julie to get that show to go on, and companies were backing off, didn't even want to do her show because it was only $12,000-$15,000. The ones in Cashers are much higher, you know, and the guys, there's so few of those operators that they'd rather go, and the 4th of July is such a popular time, they pick the highest paying show. And I don't think the clubs in the Cashers area would balk at a couple, $300 more fee, you know. So that's certainly something, if you won't get any objection from me. We have tried to, on the fee comment, it's mostly related, I've tried to bring the fees up on larger homes that we're inspecting, because they just keep getting larger and larger. And it may look like on paper they get the same number of inspections, but it's a lot more manpower to inspect a 10,000 square foot home. So we definitely upped our square foot multiplier on our fee this year. That's in the fee proposal from my office as well. So.
Is there a motion to approve the current fireworks displays?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Stribling?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Chairman Letson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on now to Michael Poston and a grant application and project.
Good evening, Commissioners. Come here tonight to talk to you a little bit about a grant application that the county, that we would like to apply for. It's a federal grant that comes out of the Federal Highway Department, and it's through the Federal Highway Administration that issues a notice of funding opportunity for active transportation networks, greenway spines, greenway construction, and also planning grants. It has a 20% match on it, and what we would look to do with the proposal we would make is on this newest section of Greenway that we've acquired some easements to, or working to acquire easement to, is to do the planning work, the construction document development, which will allow us to go out to bid and do those things. We have a general idea of what that will cost at this point in time at about $400,000 on a 80-20 match. It would be, if we were awarded the grant, we would be looking at an $80,000 project for us. This grant, we did not look at a construction project for this grant because the minimum project cost had to be $15 million, which we don't have any projects in the pipeline that are that large. So we looked at this from a planning standpoint to try to find a funding opportunity that would help us with the next phase of our Greenway project. We've worked with the Parks and Recreation Department. We're also working with the Southwestern Commission and the RPO because a lot of the information they're asking for is transportation related, so data sets and things of that nature to help us do that. But because of the time frame and the quick turnaround, we would ask, the request of the board would be to allow staff to prepare the application for the chairman's signature, with the understanding that the match for the county would be $80,000. The due date of the grant is June 17th. We'll have that done beforehand, but we won't have another opportunity to come before you guys at a regular meeting to ask for that approval. So that's the request from staff tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Ms. Fox, where would we pull the $80,000 from?
It could come from the Greenway funds.
Okay. Are there any additional questions? Is there a motion to move forward with this grant application?
I'll make that motion.
A second? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Stribling?
Yes.
Chairman Letson?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. Next up, we have NCDOT offer to purchase, acquisition right of way. Mr. King?
So this is a offer to purchase for $573,575, and it's for an easement at the Smoky Mountain High School area. And as you can see, I think there was it basically just gives you a description, but it's of the different easements. One is 0.229 acres, one is 0.201 acres. Leaving a total 1.867 acres, leaving a total of 42.433 acres. Part of it, but all of it is easement. I think there's one little section that was fee simple, but basically this is their offer. This was sent to Board of Education back in April, and they have approved y'all accepting it, which just as a cursory review. And through this process, it's taken this long to get this to you because this property is underneath a loan, QZAB loan, Qualified Zone Academy bond, which is a little bit different financing instrument. So we had to go through Truist Bank, who's the note holder, to work out some details. So we've been looping in legal, and finally got a agreement back from Truist, and basically I went ahead and signed that document just saying it was our intention to accept money without then it going back to pay off a QZAB loan with it. With the QZAB, you don't have any interest, so it wouldn't make any really sense to pay off money for that. So the school board did, and I would recommend that the board put the $573,575 into the capital reserve fund for the school system, and not, of course, pay off any of the loans. So it'd be my recommendation that you would accept this offer.
Questions by the board?
That $500,000, that, or 573,000, that could possibly go to capital projects that we have designated for the, so that's huge.
Correct.
Additional questions from the board? If not, I'll seek a motion for approval.
So, Mr. Chairman.
And second,
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Chairman Letson.
Yes. Moving on now to fiscal year 24-25 and our budget discussions. Mr. King?
So I did present y'all a budget message, and you have went through the proper procedure of a public hearing, and now the adoption of the budget is set for June the 18th. And I guess at this point, if there's anything that the board would like to see changed during, other than what has been presented, we'd kind of like to hear, staff would like to hear as far as any changes or any additions or deletions that y'all would like to debate at this point.
Any further discussions at this point regarding the budget?
Ms. Fox and Mr. King have both answered my questions, and thank you. Both.
I would have one or two additions. We did leave out one supervisor at DSS that should have been added, and I think there was one.
A change to SCC moving from capital to operations. No new money.
Yeah, it's not adding money for that. It's just moving it from the capital piece over to current expense or the general operation.
Another comment I made, my comments go on the, what the Board of Education requested for their funds, new funds, that 500,000 that we all seem to agree on for meals for all the students. I asked Mr. King before the meeting to if he could reach out and get a little bit more information. And I understand they might not have a student count because it would be old information, but maybe what's the cost of a meal for a breakfast? And the cost of a lunch would help us kind of gauge, do we have enough money or do we have too much?
And we were going to make a request to maybe have that billed on a monthly basis where we kind of have statistics to show. And then you've allotted up to the $500,000, but then maybe they just BLS once a month for the amount of utilization.
I like that too.
I like that idea.
It's a little bit easier for us to track and understand.
And understand, for the future more than anything.
If we're showing shortfalls, we know, hey, our number is a little off. Let's plan for, or make an amendment to the budget and give a little more, or if it's a little high, we can make an amendment at the end of the year and do that. So,
Y'all done a fine job putting it
Yes.
together. And even though it is an increase, it's, with inflation and everything, it's cost of living is needed. But, yeah.
perspective too. I mean, I think, everybody knows that power bills are not going down and, cost of gas is not going down.
Well, in order to compete too with the surrounding counties, we have to keep up, but maybe at some point we can get to a place in the economy to where we can just maybe skip a year or something on a step increase or a cost of living increase. But our employees do a lot of work and good job, and they deserve it.
I think that answers everything, so. Moving on now to, planning board, appointments. First up, we have a position for, vice chair at the planning board, and, Beverly Crespo has been, recommended by the board. Is there a motion to approve Ms. Crespo?
So moved.
And a second? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Stribling?
Yes.
Chairman Latson?
Yes. Next, we have Sediment Control Appeals Board, and Mr. Elders wanted to speak a little bit about this board and their recommendation.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been a long time since we've had any new members on this board, and I kind of wanted to fill in, especially some of you may not have been here, what this board does. We're a delegated local program in sediment and erosion control for the state. Prior to the year 2000, the state of North Carolina did all the erosion control enforcement in our county. And the state, about that time, came up with offers to counties that if you would agree to become a delegated local program, take over enforcement of the Sedimentation and Pollution Control Act from 1976, that they would buy a vehicle and pay a salary for 1 year for one person. We jumped on board that first year in 2000. Town of Silva got their own program when Mr. Jim Ost was down there. Some of you remember him. And they did it for a couple of years, and then we took their program over as well, incorporated into ours. But they got the truck and 1 year salary, and we got the responsibility the next year or two. But our previous boards have definitely expanded that. Our erosion control ordinance is one of the most stringent in the state, taking it down to half acre. The Sediment Control Appeals Board is if we go so far as to issue a notice of violation and they appeal it, this board would hear that appeal. One reason you don't hear about it meeting much, we've had to meet one time in my 25 years, and that was when the Boston Mountain Preserve had a dam break and we had a huge fine. One reason we learned after that, and Chairman McMahon was on the board then also working there, all that fine that our staff, somebody's been around a while, I remember Robbie Shelton worked hard on that job a lot. There was an investigation, the reports. All that $150,000 went to the state of North Carolina. That's the way it's set up. So we didn't even get to keep the fine. So we put things in our ordinance over the years after that so that this board didn't have to act much. We can hold up building inspections. We do things like that get much quicker action than a formal notice of violation through registered mail and so forth. And then if you go all the way down that notice of violation path and you find them, the money goes to the state. So every time they do an audit of our program, that's the one thing they ding us on. We don't issue enough of those notices of violation. I just stand up and tell them why, because we don't like to do their work, and then them get the money. So that's why in this board we've had those members that are rotating off or did rotate off and been on the board like 8 or 10 years. So I reached out this year, and the 3 gentlemen that are on there are all involved in the grading business, licensed folks, a lot of experience. They've all been through the background checks and so forth. And again, I assured them all that hopefully they won't have to meet. I mean, we might meet once for them to go over the rules and learn their duties, but I said, in 25 years, we've had one get that far down the list. So just wanted to make y'all aware of that. Thank you.
Mr. Elders has recommended Charles Middleton, Jeff Madden, and Darren Allison to serve on their terms. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Stribling?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Chairman Layton?
Yes. Any questions from the press tonight? There's no need for closed session as well. So without that, we have our next work session, June 11th. And then our next regular meeting is June 18th. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed?